people leaving New York City. There's a difference. We got New York City, then we have New York State.
Where you are financially and where you are with your credit. And
That's
to be
true.
honest with you, and what, with yourself and what can I afford?
You see how people scared, like they talk about the markets crashing?
Yeah.
What market they're talking about?
I don't know, because we keep getting pre-approvals and requests, and people are fighting for homes still. I mean,
Bernie, I am super excited to have you here. I know we've been all day here at the New York City Real Estate Expo, and I'm glad I have you at the table. We're going to get right into these questions. Tell me about yourself, and before we get
sure. My name is Berny Vega, and I am a mortgage loan originator for East Coast Capital, and we are based out in Melville and looking to open some offices in the Hudson Valley, Orange County.
Now, Bernie, we was talking behind the scenes with so many influx of people leaving New York City. There's a difference. We got New York City, then we have New York State. And we know there's a big difference. New York City is more city living versus upstate, more rural. Based on your experience over the past several months, what have you seen as far as the market when people now are going to get a mortgage? And now, based on what they can afford in New York City, now what they can afford in a rural space such as certain parts of the counties of New York State. Can you elaborate with us today?
Absolutely. So we've seen a lot of applications for folks that are looking for more space, less money. Folks that used to be able to have to go into work 9 to 5 and now have that flexible schedule of remote work, hybrid work, or they're just looking for those part-time jobs. They can afford their homes in Orange and in Rockland County and not have to stay in New York City, even though I am from New York City and I love it. We're still seeing a lot of applications from the Bronx, from Staten Island, from Queens, from Long Island even.
Long Island?
Yes.
People leaving Long Island?
I've seen a lot of folks leave Long Island because you're now looking at, 5-figure taxes now back to 4, which is not what's common in Long Island.
Yeah.
So, and families that are looking for good school districts and bigger homes and able to afford it rather than live and just rent in New York City.
Good stuff. Now tell me, Bernie, what's a typical mortgage that you can go to the table with as far as when the client comes to you? What is the ranges when they come in, saying, I want to buy a home upstate New York? What is the typical range of what they're looking to get approved for?
Okay, so we have a lot of first-time home buyers that are coming in, and what we first like to look at is conventional loans, right? They're their best price. So you have home ready, Freddie Mac, and then home possible with Freddie Mac. And what's wonderful about it is that it gives you that flexibility to have even up to 660 or 620 credit score and a 3% down payment without having to go FHA. And so for the viewers out there that aren't very familiar with FHA, I like to speak to my clients and customers in layman terms, right? Because you don't buy a house every day. So this is what we do every day. So part of my job is to make sure that everybody's educated when they come in and they know their options and they know their choices. And then what I say, you can just Google. And it's right. So, we don't. So when we do that, we want to make sure that if they're going into that we're going to the conventional, the best rates out there.
Absolutely.
But if needed and your credit scores are lower, we can go to FHA. FHA is the government loans, right? But it does have a different pricing as well. And you can't eliminate PMI, which is a private mortgage insurance that you would have to pay if you're putting less than 20%.
And they're definitely open to that because majority of the time people don't come to the table with that PMI, so they have to factor that in their monthly payment. The monthly payment as they go along to purchase that property. Correct. Now, are they okay with that? Because at the end of the day, they want to purchase a home, so they don't really.
I think that's why we like to talk to folks before they want to purchase the home. When you have the idea of I want to buy a home in a year, come to us. I think it's important that you go to a broker or banker, whoever it is that you want to talk to, that they can be transparent with you and give you options. I think it's it's important that our buyers have that buying power. Rather than go to that one person, they're going to answer everything, and then they're just counting on one person. I think I like to talk about education a lot because I like borrowers knowing and comparing. Yes, I'm here for your journey, right? To hold your hand throughout the whole thing and help you. You have any questions? Sure, I'm happy to answer them. But I think prior to thinking of getting a home, it's important to know where you are financially and where you are with your credit, and to be honest with you, and what with yourself, and what can I afford? What's going to get me in a problem? And having that conversation before you start looking at Zillow at midnight and thinking which house you're going to purchase.
And that's the worst time for everybody. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. you start making these decisions that erratic. And it doesn't make sense. And you're like, can I really afford this property? And it doesn't, like, you try to make the numbers make sense, and it doesn't. Because you have to live every day, and you have to factor those numbers in.
Or your credit, or your credit may not be where it needs to be, and then your rate's going to be affected. So if it's something you're thinking about and you're currently renting or living with folks or anything, it's so important to reach out to folks that are brokers, bankers that have different options for you to just have the conversation. It doesn't mean you're pre-approved and going to buy a house tomorrow. It just set you on that path that, college doesn't teach us that. So it's life. And by the time we start thinking about it, we're in our 30s and we're renting and we're throwing away $30,000 a year.
And trying to figure it out in real time. Like, let me just figure it out. Sometimes you come with a plan, but it's good to kind of have like a long-term, like, scope of how you want to do clientele. Are there singles coming in? Are there young families, middle families, or like seniors coming into purchasing home nowadays? Or is it a combination of both? What's been your
what's funny? Yesterday I have an applicant that's a senior.
Really?
Yes, he's a senior, first-time home buyer.
You see how I said a senior? Usually those were the ones who wanted to.
He's a senior, but this is his first time purchasing a house. I know. And he's an immigrant, and it's so exciting because you'll walk, but there's so many nerves attached to it. And then the week before, we had a pre-approval for a family who was a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. So it's a really big mix. Where we are in Orange County, it is a big.
Tell people Orange County so they can be clear. Which part of Orange County?
I am in Woodbury, by Highland Mills, by the Woodbury Commons.
Our favorite, that infamous outlets. I remember those back in the days. Get us in trouble.
Right there.
Before you knew what the luxury designer was.
Right.
Now, don't forget to download my new ebook where I'll be providing the simplest steps of how to safeguard your critical documents through a loan signing after you close on your residential or investment property. Don't forget to download in the description bar below. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to this episode.
You would get there.
Very good information. So that's where everyone is kind of.
We're seeing a lot of Rockland, that's below Orange County because that's closer to the city. But we are seeing a lot of folks that are retired police officers going over that are in the Bronx and then just over the bridge. And then
a lot of essential workers.
Absolutely.
A lot of essential workers going there. And then, they work so hard for like 20, 30 years, their pension, making good money, but sometimes the cost of living has now, especially in New York City real estate market, it's pricing people out. So sometimes they have to go, like you said, we're going more up north and we're going to like upstate to have a nice quality of living. And there's nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, everybody want to live in a big city, these 5 barrels, but sometimes if the budget doesn't, it doesn't make sense and you have to go going upstate. And I think it's nothing wrong with that. Which takes me to my next question. Have you noticed that influx of like, you see what the interest rates are right now? Right now, in today's market, are people still coming in to qualify for a loan, or they're trying to just sit tight until?
Oh my goodness, no! It has not stopped. Thankfully, it has not stopped.
You see how people scared, like they talk about the markets crashing. What market they're talking about?
I don't know because we keep getting pre-approvals and requests, and people are fighting for homes still. I mean, by us, they are.
But it's upstate, though, Berny, right?
We are in Orange County.
Okay, so it's a difference.
There is, and nothing stays on the market. Folks are just trying.
What's the shortest market, like the shortest home that's been on the market, like 30, 45, 70, 14, 20 days?
I've seen just last week there was, I think, 714 last week.
14-day market. It was sold.
Done.
Wow. So they were serious. So clearly, we look at there's still a need. Supply and demand. It depends on where you're going at.
Absolutely.
And demand it makes you think that a lot of people can kind of, when you look at markets, you look at the big markets. You got New York, you got California, you got Texas, where I had to do a lot of loan signings at. During the COVID time, and Florida, there's people
there is
relocation. Texas, and Texas and Florida has been those two markets over the past like 3 or 4 years. I've seen a lot of families, whether they're singles, younger families, and even people who actually they have retired. They're going to these two states. What's great now, upstate could be an option. Upstate New York.
Absolutely.
I just thought
it's just an hour away.
It's just to think about that. But the fact is, I think when people go, they want to go to the Sun Belt states because But think about it. You can always have an option to go up there.
Up there,
you can be skiing upstate, right?
Shopping. And really, that's why I got my license in Florida because there's a lot of relocation there going on. So.
Well, I think to each his own, and it's definitely something I'm glad that you and I had this conversation because I don't think people pay attention to upstate New York, especially when you come from city living, but it can be definitely an alternative to maybe you can't live in a big city, but you want to live upstate. Maybe have family come down, the weekends just come in.
Or investments.
Oh, an
There's
investment opportunity.
rentals. Yeah.
Let's talk about the investment
Sure.
opportunities. Do you see a lot of people investing in upstate, or
Yeah.
like you? What has
there
been your
has been.
experience?
I am originally from Queens, so I didn't think folks would
Queens
invest.
girl.
Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't
sounds
think.
like
So I didn't think folks would invest upstate. That's something I never thought
Really?
of. Really, like I
didn't
just thought
think
of investment. I always thought of a second home by a lake house, winter go
Right.
skiing. But there has been a lot of interest in multi-unit families, and people are living in one unit, renting the other three.
Okay.
And
living
it's
their
so much
lives.
more affordable than the city. I'm sorry, New York City. I love you.
That's really good to hear because I don't think a lot of people put upstate market on
Right.
the map. I mean, you definitely would like to say
Yeah.
Bernie, but it's good information to hear. Which leads you to my next question: what has been an issue for you when it's time to close on a deal? What obstacles have you came across and you felt like, wow, this deal it's a hard time?
Oh,
Was it on the buyer end, the seller end? Was it something dealing with like paperwork not getting processed? What has been your experience?
I think most of the things is waiting on titles. I think the title clearance is really it, right?
You think it's a
making
challenge?
sure, municipals, all that fun stuff, and waiting on other folks to do that. On our end, I'm thankful that I have the experience of having been an underwriter. So when I see
So you're
something,
aware of that,
I already know on pre-approval. I know what they're going to ask for. So my buyers are ready to close on my end.
But pretty much, that's
But
always
it's
been an
really
issue
not
for
it.
you.
Yeah, that's always been an issue. Just waiting on municipals and title clearance and just getting, just waiting.
You think it's a New York issue? You think everybody
It's a
goes
New
to
York
that?
issue. I'm
said-
telling you.
you said that real quick.
You know what? Because
Yeah.
I have a lot of family in Pennsylvania, in Texas, in different states,
Right.
and they close within 30 days without a problem.
Well, we got to get that
Yeah,
together. Our title, we got to really fix that solution
Right,
because
right.
that can hold up the process and people get
Correct.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Frustrated. Sometimes you have to sell it more now because it's just the time.
Right.
But I think if you're really committed to the process, you
Right.
want to get the deal done.
Right.
But there's always situations that occur. We just got to ride the wave. But
Right.
we're part of that team that's got to get this deal done.
Right.
But it's unfortunate when things kind of fall through the loophole
Right,
and you
right.
got to just regroup.
Right,
But it's definitely something I think that we need to have these conversations and let people know because we're being definitely open
Right.
to what the process is and being transparent. Because I don't think a lot of people are aware, Bernie. You know what goes on behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah.
always see people on TV
Yeah.
saying I close, but do you know?
Right. And it takes really knowing exactly what you brought up. Like, if I know that title takes a long time, as soon as I get, contract of sale, I'm going to call the buyers.
You're gonna get right on
and
it.
I'm going to say, can you forward us the title? And this is
Right.
the bank attorney that we're working with.
Right.
And we're going to be on that because I already know what I have to do, but we're going to have to work that relationship to make sure that they're moving as well.
I agree. You know, Bernie, I enjoyed this conversation today. I really appreciate it. Now, the viewers, if they want to follow you, where can they reach you, Bernie? Please.
So, sure, you can. So you can email me at bvega@East Coast Capital, or you can look us up at eastcoastcap.com.
You got any socials, Bernie, just in case they want to follow you?
I do. It is Berny Burns, BERNY,
Go ahead, Berny Burns.
BERNS it's on Instagram.
Bernie,
Thank you so
much.
much.
It's been a
Thank you all
pleasure.
for these beautiful.